So technically, you were programmed to result to negative feelings in response to life not going your way. We're going to talk about how to reprogram those negative feelings so that life does go your way. Why is your mind more susceptible to the negative? Why is it that we learn bad habits more than we do good habits? Why does the mind result to negative thoughts more than positive? Because it is flesh. Everything that we see, every mass form is a much more dense material, is a lower frequency. That is how we're able to see it, how we're able to touch it, is because it's a lower frequency. So the flesh, in a sense, is on a negative frequency. Remember, we were born into sin. Our natural mind is of a lower frequency. And that is why you hear the negative thoughts. That is why the negative thoughts tend to override the positive. But there is a consciousness that is higher than our fleshly mind. It is on a higher frequency. Thus, it can override the lower frequency, which is our fleshly minds. The flesh is more susceptible to do immoral things. It is on the immoral frequency. But we can override the flesh by staying on a higher frequency. And you have to consider that when we were programmed, when we were at our vulnerable stages, when we first got here, that we were being programmed by humans, flesh, on a lower frequency. They didn't even know any better. Now, who can see past their programming unless there's a mirror put before them so that they're able to recognize that bad programming, that low frequency programming? This is what relationships are. They're mirrors. They reflect the changes that you need to get rid of old paradigms, old ways of thinking, bad programming, so that you can expand. Because if you're not expanding, you're repeating, you're reliving old paradigms. You're recycling the same outdated patterns, reliving the same experiences in different people. So although you may change jobs, still have the same problems. And although you may change relationships, still the same things. No matter how many times you change relationships, environments, if the same things follow you, it's because you have not changed up the energy by changing your old way of thinking, by reprogramming, by renewing your mind. If the frequency isn't higher, it's still here. So no matter how many times you change your underwear, if you're still dirty, you're going to have to change them again. If you're still dirty, well, it's just defeating the purpose. You have to wash your booty. Just like the old paradigms, the old beliefs, the old programming. You have to wipe it clean because the old programming isn't benefiting you. I'm here that you may have life more abundantly. And you can't do that with that old way of thinking. So how do I get to love? How do I get to this higher frequency that overrides this low frequency flesh? First, start with positive self-concept. How do you see yourself? How do you really see yourself? Truth is, how your life is turning out, what situations you're in right now, that is how you're seeing yourself. Deep down on a subconscious level, what you've produced in your life is your self-concept. Look around you. Does it need changing? Can it get better? It can. You change up your self-concept by speaking those I ams, who God said that you are. He said that you were good in the beginning. Do you believe that you're good? Do you? Because you're going to have to. In order to receive all the good things that you feel you deserve, you have to reflect that you deserve those good things and that you are worthy of those things. So you have to change up your self-concept. What is your self-talk? What is in your mind? What are those words telling you about yourself? And you know that these words, they stay in your mind constantly. They are constantly feeding your flesh. Your higher consciousness says that you are divine and sacred, powerful and deserving and worthy. What your higher consciousness tells you overrides that fleshly self-talk that constantly runs in our mind. You can change up that fleshly self-talk by overriding it with what the higher consciousness says you are. You have to constantly observe those thoughts and change them up. When you change up those thoughts, when you develop a positive self-concept, then you will feel good about yourself. This is important. The feeling is the energy, it's the vibe, it's what you're going to signal out into the world. And you have to feel good about yourself. Acknowledge those anchors, those things that hold you down from reaching your higher consciousness. These things will hold you down on a lower vibration, and that is guilt and shame, and that is not forgiving. So you want to forgive, especially yourself. Free yourself. Free yourself from all guilt and shame. This is why religions, you confess your sins, because you want to be free from the burden of what you feel about guilt and shame, that you don't deserve the best, because you do. But you're going to free yourself up by letting these anchors go so that you can rise to a higher consciousness. Don't take your past personally. The things that happened to you had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with you on the flesh and keeping you from reaching the higher frequency. But we're going to tell the past, no, you can't hold me hostage. You forgive the past, forgive what happened in the past, and let go of that anchor so that you can rise up. When that good, positive feeling starts to vibrate every cell of your being, and you are vibrating high, then you start to attract all those things on this level. No longer on this level. It is the best. And that, my friend, is abundance. And through it all, be grateful. Every day, be grateful. Hard times, good times. Be grateful. Be continually grateful. And the universe will open up to you and your blessings. So good luck.